Okay, we're back. Is there anything to report out of closed session?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. There's nothing to report out.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to call to order the Stanton City Council, Successor Agency, Housing Authority, and joint regular meeting of 6:30. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor, Council Agency Authority Member Barrios, Council Agency Authority Member Taylor, Council Agency Authority Member Warren, Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chairman Torres,
Here.
and Mayor Chairman Schauber.
Here,
Thank you, sir.
If you'll please join us in the pledge. Zinnia, will you lead tonight, please? This evening, we do have under item number 8, presentations and awards. First will be a presentation of a proclamation declaring the month of April the 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the city of Stanton. We do have a representative here, right?
And Ms. Senya Bobadilla will also do a brief presentation as well.
The City of Stanton has a proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month, April 2025. Whereas we as a society have a responsibility to nurture and protect our children and to help ensure they become healthy, productive adults. And whereas child abuse and neglect are complex, ongoing problems affecting children from every sector of society, crossing all cultural, ethnic, and socioeconomic divisions. And whereas every child is entitled to be loved, cared for, and nurtured, feel secure, and to be free from verbal, sexual, emotional, and physical abuse and neglect. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created among social service agencies, schools, faith communities, community organization, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas our communities are stronger when all citizens become aware of child abuse prevention and are involved in supporting parents as they strive to raise their children in a safe, nurturing environment. And whereas our children are the most valuable resources and will shape the future of the city of Stanton. And whereas in Orange County, there are numerous committed agencies, nonprofits, parents, relatives, community volunteers, public policymakers, and professionals who are collaborating to eliminate child abuse and give our children hope, security, and safety. And whereas we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to promote the social and emotional well-being of children and their families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. Whereas prevention remains the best defense for children and families. Do you want to read the last part?
Yeah, let's go down.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As we recognize April as Child Abuse Prevention Month, I'd also like to acknowledge someone who plays a key role in supporting local families. Our Family Resource Center coordinator, Jessica Cedillo, was recently honored with the Shining Light Award by the Raise Foundation. A Stanton native, Jessica's connection to the community and her dedication to children and families are reflected in this recognition. I'd like to invite Jessica to accept the city's proclamation in honor of Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Jess, sorry. I'm going to turn it off. If you can give me a test. One more time. One more time. It's going to make me come down. Test, test, test.
Alrighty, well, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I'm very excited to continue the work in being a prevention level for our families in the Resource Center, and I'm excited to see where the next 5 years takes us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you for your efforts. We know how important this is, not only to you, but to others in our community. And Cindy, I know that we have a program where we get all this information out on our website, and we'll do our best to let the world know. Thank you. All right, moving along, we now have a presentation. You want to talk about this, Gary? Introduce your guest.
Yes, I can talk about this. Presentation by Laura Young, the District Manager of the Orange County Vector and Mosquito Control District.
All right, good evening. I'm going to apologize in advance. Every time I seem to do a presentation, everybody gets a little itchy and squirmy, so it's just the nature of my job. But what I'm going to talk about today is how we sort of ended 2024 as a vector control agency and what we anticipate for 2025. There we go. So just a little background, we are an independent special district. We're one of 2 special districts that cover all of Orange County. So we have the second largest board in the state of California with 35 board members, 1 from each city and 1 county at large. And then your representative is Councilmember Taylor. So if you ever need to get a hold of us or have any concerns, you can call us directly, but he has all my numbers, so he can get in touch with me the quickest. As a special district, we have a very specific goal, and that's as a public health agency, our goal is to prevent vectors and vector-borne diseases within the county. So how we do that is we provide a variety of services, which includes outreach, education, school presentations, social media, and website information. We also have one of the few districts in California that has a full in-service laboratory, which means we do all our testing in-house for our mosquitoes, our ticks, and our fleas, so we can turn around the test results within 24 hours and respond more rapidly. And then our biggest personnel is our control or our operations department, which is the folks that are out in the field every day in your city and every other city in the county. And they're doing the control for mosquitoes, red imported fire ants, rats, and filth flies. So those are our 4 main vectors that we control. We also do surveillance for ticks and fleas, but we do minimum control for that unless it's a significant public health risk. Our control ranges from source reduction. So the best way to control for any of these vectors is to remove the source that's attracting them to the property. For mosquitoes, it's water. For rats, it's usually food or harborage. So they want a place to live and they want some good food to eat, like all of us. For red imported fire ants, it's usually landscaping. They do not thrive in California natural climate, so they need landscaping, so typically parks, parkways, golf courses, schools. And then filth flies is a sanitation issue. So most of our work in the summer is for mosquitoes, and that's where I'm going to focus because we're heading into mosquito season, and we're in California Mosquito Awareness Week. So it's best time to have me out. And then we're going to talk about biological control, which is our mosquito fish program, and then larvicide and adulticide, and when you may see those in your community. So if you didn't know, there's 27 different kinds of mosquitoes in Orange County, but most of them are in the marshlands or more non-urban areas. So we're really going to focus on our urban mosquitoes. I always like to caveat this by you do not need to catch and ID the mosquito, just kill it. If it's in good condition, we can ID it for you, but usually we can tell from the water source, what kind of mosquito it is. So we're concerned with 2 types of mosquitoes, but 3 kinds of mosquitoes. So the first one is our southern house mosquito, which you'll see all the way, and that's the carrier of West Nile virus, which we have in Orange County. We always see human cases, and we see the virus in our mosquitoes. Our more imminent threat is our Aedes aegypti mosquito. So if you're going to classify a mosquito as being pretty, those are our pretty mosquitoes in Orange County. They're striped. They're very aggressive day-biting mosquitoes. So if anybody's complaining about getting bitten around their legs, that's the mosquito that's at fault for that. And our concern is that they can spread a variety of diseases such as dengue, Zika, yellow fever, chikungunya, and dog heartworm. I used to be able to say that we don't have those diseases in California, but as of 2023, we had 1 local dengue case in San Gabriel Valley, and in 2024, we had 14 different local cases in Southern California. So it's just sort of a matter of time when Orange County gets their first local case. We're surrounded. LA County had theirs, San Bernardino, San Diego, and the San Gabriel Valley. We were the only ones that did not have a local case in 2024. So the reason we talk about mosquitoes is because they're probably the most preventable vector. If we don't have water, we don't have mosquitoes. They require water for 2/3 of their life, and most of the work we do is in areas that cannot be controlled by residents. So those are abandoned swimming pools. So the negative of a recession or bad economy is more swimming pools tend to go offline because people can no longer afford to maintain them. So we do see an increase as the economy slows down. We also have gutters just due to wear and tear in our communities, aging infrastructure, and then manholes and storm drains and flood channels. We also have marshes and wetlands that we do control with. So that's the most significant part of our work. As you can see, mosquitoes thrive in a variety of sources, so there isn't a one-shop-fits-all for mosquitoes. They will thrive in any kind of water source, from the smallest, which is a bottle cap or a leaf holding water, to the biggest, which is our marshes and wetlands. Our invasive mosquitoes especially like the backyards. They like tropical settings, so as residents, as we build these nice lush backyards, we provide a great habitat for them. Lucky bamboo, flower pot saucers, bromeliads, and any other thing that can hold water in your backyards is an ideal source for them, including yard drains without proper drainage to the front gutters. So those are all sources. And then we just need to be able to educate our residents about that, because we cannot get into every backyard. And people forget. As we get into winter, people stop getting bitten, they forget to do their routine checks, and then we come back into summer and they get a nice reminder of some bites, and then we have to remind them what to do again. All right. So going to West Nile virus, you'll notice this is 2024 data. We don't have any data for 2025 because we haven't hit mosquito season yet. Last year, we had a very low West Nile virus year. We had 1 human infection, 53 positive mosquitoes throughout the county, 1 bird, and 0 horses positive. I will know that West Nile virus for horses is mostly fatal for those horses. They're the only ones that have a vaccine for West Nile virus, though. So we can vaccinate our horses. All right, let's see. Okay. Well, never mind. All right. So this is what you'll see, and I talked about control measures a little bit. So in the event we have disease presence in a community, this is typically what city staff will be emailed information, and our board member, and then our community as well, which is we're going to send notices or post notices in the community that has any disease activity. If our disease activity hits a certain threshold, that's when we start notifying those neighborhoods that we can potentially do adult mosquito control. And our goal is not to eliminate every mosquito in the community. Our goal is to knock down the population to a low enough that we will not have disease transmission to our residents. So it's just to break the cycle temporarily until we have that disease dissipate, and then of course if you still have water, you're going to get more mosquitoes. So while we did not have a lot of West Nile virus activity, we did see significant dengue activity last year. So in 2023, we had 24 travel-related dengue cases, which means people traveled to an area that had dengue, came back with the disease, and they were actively viremic, which means they can spread the disease. In 2024, we had 57 cases, so we saw almost a doubling of that case. We anticipate we were going to get to about 80 to 90 cases this year because we are already getting cases reported, and it's not even mosquito season. And we've already had a notification by the CDC that they are reporting higher level of dengue in Puerto Rico and the Americas. So we anticipate it will be a busy year for dengue. So how do we combat these new mosquitoes that are challenging to find in backyards and have some resistance to pesticide? Well, we have to look at new ways to do that, and one new way is sterile insect technique. There are different methods of SIT, but we are looking at irradiation. We have a small project that we are working on in Mission Viejo. It's a 5-year project, and we are in year 3. So for those of you that are not familiar with the SIT, what we are doing is sterilizing lab-reared males that do not bite, making them infertile, and then releasing them to mate with the wild females. And once they mate, their eggs are not viable, and we are basically using mosquitoes to combat mosquitoes. It's more environmentally friendly, it doesn't require any pesticide, and it doesn't have any resistance in the population. So it has been proven in other species, like medflies, screwworms. Mosquitoes are a little bit more fragile, so we are developing how we're going to release them without completely destroying those mosquitoes and their wings. We can't drop them from airplanes. We have to do a ground release. So that's part of our project. Why we picked Mission Viejo, and we were actually very surprised that we had a lot of cities asking, why not us? Why can't we have this? Mission Viejo had one of the highest counts of these mosquitoes in the county repeatedly. So I don't know if they really wanted to win that award, but their residents were really impacted. And so with those high counts, we could actually see if it's going to work and how effectively it's going to work. And our hope is that it works effectively and we can scale it to cost benefit where we can implement it in other areas. So I mentioned it's a 5-year project, and we are in year 3. So the first 2, year 0 to 2, and then beginning of year 3 was all research, finding mosquito counts, finding out how much we need to irradiate those mosquitoes. And then in 2025, we'll actually be doing the irradiated releases in May or June, so depending on the weather. And then year 4 and 5, we'll be continuing those releases to see how they work in a prolonged setting. And once we have that, we will go back to our board with all that data so they can make an informed decision on how to move forward. So we're hopeful about that, but I do want to just bring it back to 2025 and what we're expecting. And that's really a significant dengue transmission year in the Americas, which will impact us as we see people traveling. So we're going to have more travel-related dengue, and we're in the midst of preparing for our local transmission. So when we do have that, we're prepared and we can escalate our response appropriately. Also, you would think that less rain benefits us, but actually less rain, droughts tends to have higher disease transmission years. So with less rainfall this winter, we do anticipate we'll have more urban drool or urban runoff, which will mean more mosquitoes in our community in our urban settings. And then, of course, we're going to continue to look at new technologies for our Aedes mosquitoes as they come online and as people are doing research on that to see how we can help our residents combat these mosquitoes. So my ask to you as leaders in the community, whether you're sitting up here on the council dais or in the audience, is please spread the word. We have a team of 70 staff that service 3.2 million residents. So we need everybody's help to talk to neighbors, to talk to your community members, and make sure they're aware of what they can do, because we can only combat these mosquitoes if we work together. And it's very simple. You inspect your yard, you tip out any water, toss out any containers unneeded, and wear your repellent to prevent disease transmission. So with that, I am available for any questions. The question slide's there. There you go. So if you have anything.
what tablet, best tablet? Are they chlorine tablets? What do you guys recommend?
For pools,
Our fountains and water?
we actually don't,
basins?
we don't recommend chlorine tablets. You can get something that's called BTI granules at Home Depot, and they're a once-a-month distribution you can put in your fountains. If your fountain's large enough, we can give you mosquito fish to do the mosquito control for you. If you're unsure, I would say give us a call. We'll assess it for you and tell you what the best method to control for mosquitoes is.
And if our neighbor's pool is green, we just call you, right?
Just call us. You can call it in anonymous. You don't have to leave any information. We have about 3,000 pools we monitor in Orange County annually. So,
Any questions, gentlemen?
How do you guys monitor pools? Like, do you guys use drones overhead for those that don't maintain their pool?
so we actually we purchase aerial imagery from someone that does aerial flyovers, and then we have AI that we run to identify pools. And then our inspectors go out and literally inspect those pools that we think are green. And sometimes they're dark bottom pools. Sometimes, I'll tell you, like, my brother's pool went green while he was on vacation unknowingly, and he got a knock from our vector control inspectors. By the time they got there, he had already fixed it, thank God, goodness. But it happens in those instances. So we monitor those year round, and then we have some rain pools. So we have empty pools that when it rains, we literally just send them a text and say, did you drain it? If you drain it, take a picture and send it back to us.
Laura, have the signs been sent out for the trucks yet, for our city trucks?
I know they have the signs in the office. I don't know if they've been sent out to every city yet, but I can check and get back to you on that. So,
Anyone else? Anyway, thank you for taking the time to come out and share that perspective with us, and we'll spread the word with our website.
so much.
You're welcome.
See you on the 17th.
Thanks, Gary. Good job. All right, we're going to move on to item C. This is a presentation by the Orange County Power Authority to provide a presentation and feasibility study update to the city.
Let me know if I'm speaking clearly enough and loud enough. I know that there was a bit of an issue with this.
That is
but
perfect. Thank you.
Is it perfect? Good, thank you. Well, good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council and City staff. It's great to be with you and great to continue this conversation on Orange County Power Authority. So I have a presentation here for you today, a brief presentation. I'm not sure, do I load it or? All right. All right, so a brief presentation on Orange County Power Authority, more specifically a presentation about a feasibility analysis that Orange County Power Authority, or otherwise known as OCPA, conducted on behalf of Stanton. It really is the first step in exploring membership with OCPA. So my name is Joe Mosca, and proud to be the CEO of Orange County Power Authority, and I am joined by a very experienced and creative team, several of whom are here with me today, several who are on line with us today. One I wanted to note just for the city clerk or whomever is staffing the computers today, Alden Walden from Pacific Energy Advisors is with us tonight, and he is virtual, and he pretty much conducted the analysis for us. So at the appropriate time, I'm going to call on him, and he's going to walk through some of the analysis. But before that, I'm going to just kind of...
Okay, I will check with the mayor. We do not allow participation virtually. It's an in-person participation, and anything, if you're are not present, it's e-public comment. So it's up to the mayor at his discretion if we would like to allow that, but typically that is not our practice here.
All right, I thought we had cleared it already. So Pacific Energy Advisors, they are the third-party organization that conducted the feasibility analysis, and I do think that allowing Alden to speak a little bit to the slides that he put together would be very helpful to the City Council.
Happy to hear it.
Perfect, thank you. All right, and so yes, so here is the team that will be supporting this effort, and also here tonight to answer any questions after the presentation is completed. So just to kind of recap, So just a bit of a recap. So on April 23rd, OCPA staff presented to the City Council here on the benefits and just the advantages of joining Orange County Power Authority. And you gave the directions to the city staff to move forward with the first initial step, which is the feasibility analysis. And essentially, the feasibility analysis is asking the question whether it is financially feasible for Orange County Power Authority to take on the city of Stanton, and also whether it's if it's a good thing for the residents and the customers of Stanton. At that time, you also gave us a permission to pull your electric load data from Southern California Edison. So we did, in fact, pull that electric load data. It took them several months to do that. And then it took us several months working with Pacific Energy advisors and also internally to look at that analysis and do all of the analysis that we needed. A lot of that analysis is also pursuant to the Public Utilities Code and needs to be done in a certain way. So today, I'm going to present not only the feasibility analysis, but also just give a little bit of context, because I know that there's members of the public, folks that are here tonight that may be listening for the first time and asking the question, who is Orange County Power Authority? And I know that we'll get into that even more so in the future if we do move forward. But just wanted to give a little bit of context tonight as well, and then also answer any questions. So 20 years ago, the California Assembly passed AB 117, which gave rise to CCAs in the state of California. 20 years later, there are 25 CCAs throughout the state of California, Orange County Power Authority being one of them. Orange County Power Authority currently has 4 members of the city of Fullerton, who the mayor actually is here tonight with us, Mayor Fred Jung, who is also the former chair of the board of directors of OCPA and also director now on the board of directors. Also, the city of Fountain Valley, our brand new city that just came on, just signed up and will be launching in 2026. Their board member, Director Glenn Grandis, is also here tonight. I neglected to introduce them with the team as well, but they are here as well. So we have 4 cities, Fountain Valley, Fullerton, Buena Park, and the city of Irvine. The three of the cities were founding members of OCPA, and Fountain Valley just came on. Essentially, AB 117 allowed cities to come together and pool their resources and purchase energy on behalf of their customers within their city and purchase more renewable energy for their cities. It's a not-for-profit. That means that all of the revenue stays local. It also is about local control over not only the energy purchases that you're making on behalf of your customers, but also the programs and projects that you're undertaking on behalf of your customers. So in 20 years, not only are there 25 CCAs throughout the state of California, but there are 14 million Californians that live within an area that has a CCA and 200 communities. So I talked about competition. One of the benefits of OCPA and CCA is competition, competitive pricing. Affordability is something that's central to who we are. Local jobs, local economic development. We're keeping our money local. We're not for profit, so it's not benefiting anybody but our customers. And so one of the ways that we benefit our customers by reinvesting our revenue back into our member agencies and programs and projects that help Stanton, projects that bring online local generation. We're also we're smaller than SCE. SCE covers 50,000 square miles and 15 million customers. And so our smallness, our leanness, our nimbleness means that we're able to deliver energy in a much more competitive fashion, but also tailor our programs specifically to the needs of Stanton and our member agencies. So this just gives you a bit of context about CCAs. I think the beautiful thing about this slide is if you look at the top of that pie chart, 50% of the energy load being served in the state of California are because of cities. So between the municipal or public utilities and also CCAs, which are primarily cities, They control 50% of the load in the state of California. And when you look at the CCA, that part of the pie chart, 80% of the new generation being signed on and being brought online in the state of California is because of CCAs. So in addition to, if your city signed up to be a member of OCPA, in addition to the fact that they could stay with SCE for the one energy product that they offer, in addition to that, which tracks with the renewable portfolio standard, in addition to that, they would have options with OCPA. We have 3 energy products. The basic choice is 47% renewable energy, which is higher than SCE, and it costs 3% less as the equivalent generation rate. The smart choice is 55% renewable energy and 40% carbon-free. The carbon-free is mostly large hydro. The 100% is 100%. It's 100% clean energy, mostly solar, wind, some geothermal, and battery storage. And the smart choice is 1 cent per kilowatt hour more than the basic choice, which I already said is 3% less than SCE as to the equivalent generation rate. And the 100% is 1.5 penny more than the basic choice. So in addition to the value proposition of local control and more renewable energy on the grid faster than the state is required the utilities to do it, we're also a not-for-profit. And again, we're reinvesting in our member agencies and also helping our customers. So some of the programs that we currently have that we've currently deployed are up on the screen there. An incentive finder, which essentially allows a one-stop shop for all of our customers to plug in their address and know all of the various incentives from state, federal, and local government incentives that are available to them. If you're an OCPA customer, you are likely to still be qualifying for a lot of the programs that SCE offers, because most of those programs are state programs. And so if you're a low-income customer, you still qualify for CARE, you still qualify for FARA, you may even qualify for medical baseline. So those programs you still qualify for, and you probably have even more benefits with us as well, so you get more benefits. OCPA Marketplace is a place where our customers can go and get very significantly subsidize energy efficiency appliances and products and many other things. One of the things that we're going to introduce and propose to our board of directors this coming month is the ability to get at-home EV chargers, level 2 EV chargers for free. Retail price on that on our marketplace is about $500. We're proposing to our board of directors that we would deploy a program so for all of our customers, they would have access to level 2 EV chargers, at-home chargers for free. We also have the payment and bill assistance programs, which I just mentioned. Over the next 5 years, we're planning on having grant programs that will give up to $1 million to not-for-profit organizations or our member agencies. We've already given about $250,000 to not-for-profit organizations in our member agencies. For those folks that want rooftop solar, residential rooftop solar, we currently still honor NEM 2. I don't know if that makes if that means anything to folks, but essentially we incentivize rooftop solar even more than the local utility, and we're looking to do even more. In fact, we have a proposal going to our board of directors this month, which will give a $1,000 rebate for residential solar and battery storage. But we do a lot more than the utility does in terms of rooftop solar, allowing you to kind of pencil that out faster than you would otherwise do. We're also in the process of putting together a 5-year plan of what will we adopt in the future. And we're asking all of our customers, all of our stakeholders, our member agencies, what are the types of programs that you want to see? Because we know that there are like 1,000 programs out there that could be helpful. But what are the programs that would make a difference for the city of Stanton? What are the programs that would make a difference for the customers, the commercial customers, the residential customers, the industrial customers? And so that's our next stage and programs, is really putting that 5-year plan together. So in addition to the fact that we've done a whole lot in terms of this is our 3rd year of service, and we've saved our ratepayers cumulatively over the last 3 years about $3 million if they were on that basic choice. And also we've saved a whole lot of carbon emissions from being emitted because of this program. billions of tons of carbon that have been reduced because of this program. But in addition to that, we are absolutely fiscally sound and healthy. And this has been also a shining star of OCPA. We'll end this year in 17 million in the black, meaning we'll contribute 17 million to our reserves. And that means that we'll have about $62 million when we end this fiscal year in our operational reserves. Our rate design has not changed in the last couple of years. What that means is, specifically in the last year or so, our rates have gone down. So if you look at the generation rates, they've gone down. On the delivery side, yes, they've gone up. We have impact only on the generation side. So if you looked at the utility, you have essentially two sides of that utility. You have the delivery side, the transmission and distribution, and you have the generation side. OCPA is on the generation side. We are sourcing energy on behalf of our customers. On the delivery side, those charges have gone way up. Wildfire mitigation has gone up. All those other public purpose programs have gone up. But what has gone down is the generation charge. Our generation charge has gone up, gone down. Our rate design has not changed, has stayed the same for the last year, a couple of years. Next slide is going now, we're going to move into the feasibility analysis. All of that was just kind of setting the context of who OCPA is. But, and we'll have more time to talk about that. But right now we're going to talk about the feasibility analysis that was conducted on behalf of Stanton. And so I'm going to call in Alden Walden with Pacific Energy Advisors to come online and walk us through the next few slides that really kind of dive deeper into the feasibility analysis. Alden?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
A little bit here on the Zoom call, we can't see the presentation itself. So I will introduce myself and then happily jump into the next slide. I'm Alden Walden, as Joe mentioned, with Pacific Energy Advisors. We provide technical advisory services to even other LSEs operating in California. We currently support OCPA along with over half of the active CPAs in the state, and have supported a majority of the other active CPAs in one fashion or another.
Sorry. I have a few slides left, so I'll really quickly walk through those few slides and then open it up to any questions that you all have. Is that good? All right, so just to orient us and where are we in the process? So we are right at that second bubble, presenting the feasibility study. And then the next bubble is really kind of getting back to the policy discussion. Since we see with the feasibility analysis, it's a green light. If you desire to move forward, it's a green light. So we can move forward to the policy discussion and talk about OCPA even more in depth and the benefits of OCPA, and then also move to an ordinance and resolution if that is your if that's your direction. Also, Alden talked about some of the state process. Once we get through the process of the policy discussion and whether or not you want to join OCPA, then we have the whole state process of the JPA and also the California Public Utilities Code that we have to comply with, and that means the implementation plan that has to be filed to include any new member agencies by the end of the year, and that's something that we would do by the end of the year. By the beginning of 2026, we would start to onboard the city of Stanton and also file all the necessary documents with the California Public Utilities Commission, and then we would be good to launch service in Stanton in 2027. There would be a whole lot more going on in terms of communicating with customers and making sure that we're onboarding properly and making sure we're ready for launch. So here's just a timeline, real fast timeline that we put together that kind of meets that schedule in terms of getting the implementation plan amended before the end of the year and filed with the California Public Utilities Commission. Today we're here on April 8th with the feasibility study. May to June we talk about the introduction of an ordinance and resolution, and then the second reading of an ordinance and resolution in June-July timeframe. And then just kind of walking backwards from the end of the year, getting that implementation plan filed, and having this before the board of directors of OCPA. We would basically, we would notice all of our member agencies that we were looking to amend our implementation plan and include new communities. That would then go before the board of directors of OCPA for their approval. They'd have to support this amendment and inclusion of additional communities by a 2/3 margin, and then we would file that implementation plan with the state of California through the California Public Utilities Commission. And this is the process thereafter. Once we get approval, about 30 days under the state law, there's a 3-month clock ticking for the California Public Utilities Commission once they receive our application to deem it complete or not complete, and then work with us to get it complete if it needs to be completed. Our track record so far has been to beat that, and Fountain Valley, we actually got approved within 3 weeks and said it was complete, and they had everything that they needed. After that, in 26 and 27, we'll work with you on a public affairs, communication strategy and plan, ensuring that we're working with all of your stakeholders, all of your businesses and residential customers, and with the city to make sure this is not a lift for you, the city staff, but it's a lift for OCPA, and that we're working with you to make sure that people understand their options. So we have questions. Open it up for questions. We have our Director of Communications and External Affairs here. We have our External Affairs Manager here as well. And CFO, our Chief Financial Officer, is virtual. And also Alden Walden is available for any questions as well. You know, we have our two directors here. Do you want to say anything? We have two of our board members here, if it's okay for them to say a few words as well.
You know, why don't we get into the questions and answers, because they may be answering our questions.
All right, perfect.
Go ahead, John, we'll start at your end, if that's okay with you.
Thank you, Mayor. Stanton's considered OCPA before, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we had looked at it before, and at the time I seen that come up, I was really excited about the potential of it, but there was a lot of not great news that had followed around the time that we had originally looked at it. I wasn't a member at the time, but Could you talk about what's changed structurally with OCPA in the last few years?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think a lot has changed. In fact, I mentioned that we're only 3 years into our service. So certainly it's gone from a newer startup to a very functionally operational organization. I came on as CEO, the second CEO of Orange County Power Authority a couple years ago. Actually, I started off as interim and then full CEO last year. And so several differences. When I took over, we had 5 employees. It's not unusual that with a startup, especially with a CCA startup, that you start off with a team of technical experts and consultants that are helping you. And so we quickly moved from 5 internal team members and a team of external technical consultants to about 21 team members now. We didn't have a director of power resources, which was something that people were talking about early on. That was one of my main goals, is to build out that top senior staff of Orange County Power Authority with extremely competent and experienced and creative folks. Our director of power resources has 30 years with LADWP. Our director of communications and external affairs comes from Burbank Water and Power. I've been with utilities for a while with Southern California Gas Company, San Diego Gas and Electric. I've been a founding member of San Diego Community Power, the second largest CCA in the state of California. And so I've been around energy for a long time, and I'm an attorney by training. Our CFO was the prior CFO of 3CE, a CCA up north. So it's maturing the agency, which we've got a little help from the state with, and other entities that had done a lot of reviewing of OCPA in its very early stages, a state audit, a county audit. And so those audits, we embraced those audits because they really shined a spotlight on OCPA and allowed us to basically get advice from some of these auditors as to what are the best practices. And our board of directors, we put before our board of directors an implementation plan to tackle every one of those recommendations, and we did. Within a very short period of time, we did that. The county auditor gave us a clean bill of health. The state auditor, who has immense powers and can step right into my shoes as CEO and see everything, gave us a clean bill of health, which is right online. So we also went through that. And we also are communicating a lot better. We've learned from those early days, and we communicate a lot better, and we spend a lot more resources and time making sure that we're communicating in the way that our customers want to be communicated with. Some folks will see that as transparency. If our items are not put forward in a way that they can be digested by our customers, that means that we're not being as open and transparent. So we really live into that. So I'd say that we have, much more strategic, much more of a collaboration with our board of directors, and we're really living into those goals and reaching those goals, and many more successes today than there were back in those days.
Thank you for that. I've had this habit since I was a little child of reading the newspaper, and so I've seen elements of this evolution, and so what people have had to say on the internet and over the years. And what I like about this program is that there's local control. Right now, this is a layer of funding which goes through SCE, which they just operate here. There's functionally no role that the city plays. That this taps into a resource that has yet to be available to the city, and retains some of that local control in that way. And then the aspects of being able to take that money, then reinvest it into the community. I mean, those are really nice proposals. And I'll be curious the rest of the council has to hear, but I've been able to see both sides of this. I've loved reading about it over the years, but I'm curious what the rest of the council has to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
My question, I have a couple of them. Has any cities joined and then they wanted to opt out? And why did they want to opt out?
So 2 jurisdictions have opted out. So Huntington Beach was a founding member of OCPA. and a very good city for to be a member of OCPA. We had actually we had one of the highest participation rates among our commercial customers in Huntington Beach. And residential customers was fairly high in terms of participation rate. We enjoyed very good reputation with our customers in Huntington Beach. The only thing I can say is that the council that signed up for OCPA was a very diverse council in terms of political spectrum, and they articulated the mission from competition, affordability, competitive pricing, local control, local jobs, very well. More renewable energy, so there was something for everybody. But the council that came after them literally ran on, opposing everything that city council did. And so one of the things that they promised that they would do was get out of OCPA. And so that's something that they did. Having said that, there's a pathway under the Joint Powers Authority to transition out of OCPA if they want to. And there's a very reasonable pathway which allows for OCPA to adjust to a day without that municipality so that it's not a shock on the rest of the member agencies. It also says that if you join OCPA, there's not zero cost for you to join OCPA, and there's zero liability. Just like all of your other Joint Powers Authority agreements, the vector control and other things that you're a member of, there's zero liability that you hold for OCPA. But the JPA agreement does say that if you separate from OCPA, then you shoulder the cost of that separation, not the member agencies that stay. That any cost associated with basically leaving, you would shoulder that cost. So there was liability for Huntington Beach, right? But we were able to work with Huntington Beach, so at the end, there was no cost to Huntington Beach for leaving. The County of Orange also was a founding member. No, I'm sorry, the County of Orange was not a founding member. They came in after the fact. But the County of Orange also was right on the precipice of being launched and decided to pull back and hold back. And so they are not a member. But I would say that we work really well with the County of Orange. In fact, as they hired their Chief Sustainability Officer, we collaborate with their Chief Sustainability Officer. As Supervisor Foley has brought up a moratorium on battery storage, we have been a resource to her office and to the county as they're pursuing that ordinance and trying to kind of balance the interest between safety and local generation. So we've had a very good relationship with the County of Orange, and maybe one day they'll be back.
So how many current cities are with you? Four. And what cities are they again?
The city of Fountain Valley, which is represented by one of the council members here, the city of Fullerton, which we have the mayor here, the city of Irvine, and the city of Buena Park currently. We hope that there are going to be many more. We're having lots of conversations with other cities throughout the county as well, and so we hope that slowly and methodically that we are building the economy of scale and offering continue to offer competitive prices, and even more competitive as we have more customers.
And do you have any current ones that are looking to join you? And then also, do you have any of the current four looking to leave you?
So we have other cities that we concurrently did feasibility analysis with, other cities as well. And so we will be working with those other cities and their city staff and their city councils moving forward. We hope that as we go to amend the implementation plan at the end of this year, that we would have a couple of other cities that would be joining as well. And so, yeah, so those are a couple of cities that have been talking about joining OCPA. The city of Irvine, I think you may have heard, and I think that this is what your question's focused on. The city of Irvine has talked about leaving OCPA. So the city of Irvine set up OCPA. The DNA of the organization is set by Irvine. So certainly I think Irvine takes this decision very serious. They understand that it's a plus for their city. And I would say that the conversation about whether to stay in OCPA or not stay in OCPA came up at the end of the year when they basically, Irvine went from 5 city council members to 7. And that was a recent charter change for them. And so this recent election in November, Irvine went from 5 to 7, well, actually 6, because there's actually still CD5 in their city is vacant, and the election is next Tuesday. But they brought on, they just elected 3 new city council members to the city that we've been working with to kind of let them know about OCPA. And so the conversation about OCPA came up right at the time when you have 3 brand new city council members and a vacancy at the city council district. But having said all that, I think that where we're at with the city of Irvine is having a really good conversation about the benefits of OCPA and what the future of OCPA is going to be. And so far, the conversation has been focused on the benefits, on what are the programs that we can launch that are going to be beneficial to the customers throughout Orange County Power Authority. What are the programs that we can get, the projects that we can get going that would be beneficial to all of our member agencies? So far, the conversation has been very positive, and it's been focused on delivering on the goals of programs and projects.
Thank you.
Good evening. Just some nuts and bolts questions. All you guys do is provide the energy in the background. Would our bills be sent to you? Would the bills come to us and then we'd pay them to you? If our citizens opted in?
So we do a lot more than just the first part of your statement, but in terms of the question, we do a lot more than just purchase. But I would say that in terms of the question, so SCE still, if you're an OCPA customer, SCE will still send you the bill. They're still maintaining all the poles and the wires. They're still on the delivery side. They're still delivering the electricity. We're purchasing the power in concert with the choices that our customers are making, and we're purchasing the power and having that power delivered to the grid. We're scheduling it with the balancing authority, which is CAISO, a California Independent System Operator. And then the utility is basically bringing that to the homes and the businesses through their poles and wires, and they're still maintaining that. And they're still sending you a bill. So if you look at your bill with respect to the generation charge, it'll say OCPA. They will have a call center. We also have a call center. So if our customers have a question, they can call the SCE call center, or they can call us, especially if it's related to our generation charge, or they can call us about anything that having to do with their whole bill.
So let me get this straight. We would pay the bill to Edison, and then Edison sends you the money?
Yes.
Okay, so any outages or anything like that, that would still be Edison?
Yes.
Tell me some more about the things you do in the background for this, because you can't really send energy to one particular house, right? You're just buying it for the whole grid.
Right. So the customers make the choice and the type of energy. Specifically, when you look at the 3 different energy products that we have, our customers make choices based on the different products that we have, and then we're outsourcing that energy with the goal of buying more renewable energy, with the goal of buying local generation, with the goal of really causing more new generation, clean energy generation to come online, which is something that's terribly needed within the state of California.
Generation?
Local generation. So local generation, we're working with the city of Irvine at the Great Park. Their goal with the Great Park, it's 1,500 acres of unimproved parcel, in case you haven't seen it, and they have a goal of net zero with respect to the Great Park. And they're starting off with the Cultural Terrace West, which is a specific portion of the Great Park, and they're looking to put solar into that area. And what we're doing is we're working with them on helping them achieve that local generating source, which could be in its early stages about 1 or 2 megawatts. They have a goal of about 15 megawatts of solar generation throughout the Great Park. So we would work with them, helping them from a PPA, from an energy contract perspective, or any other program to help them incentivize local projects like that, because we believe that local projects really help save ratepayers money in the long run. Utility scale would be more kind of where you're building large-scale generation, mostly out in the desert. We're also working with the state of California through the California Public Utilities Commission on a program for low-income customers, whereby they could get a 20% discount on their entire bill, and then we would procure the solar necessary for that. You're looking at about 5 megawatts, and that is a local project. And so what we would do is look to our member agencies, rooftop solar, carport solar with battery storage, and so that would be a local project. That energy would cost more locally than it would cost on the utility scale. That's why it would be a project or a program for us, because for us, as a not-for-profit, we're all about that local generation. So it's not necessarily just about, making sure I'm getting the megawatt of energy at the best price in the market, but it's also about reinvesting in our local agencies.
Okay, final question. Since you are a nonprofit, how did you get the generated funds to begin with? Where did that come from?
So just to make a correction, so we're a not-for-profit. There's a distinction between a nonprofit and a not-for-profit. So we are, in fact, a not-for-profit. The original funds were seeded by the city of Irvine. Irvine put up millions of dollars, and we actually still owe Irvine about $7 million. So we have a loan to Irvine. That loan was, when it was originally made, the loan agreement said that we would pay it off January of 2027. There's also a subordination agreement that disallows us to pay that off earlier, and so that loan agreement will be paid off in 2027. That money is still in the bank, so it could easily be paid off, but for the fact that the loan agreement says to pay it off in early part of 2027.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
For being here. I have a couple questions and then after a couple comments.
All right.
Can you please tell me how effective CCAs are, especially in other parts of the state? I know that you mentioned that there are a few others around us.
Highly effective, highly effective. I mean, just from the fact that as we're having a lot more traditional sources of generation going offline and need more generation, CCAs are the load-serving entities that are bringing on more energy and bringing on specifically more clean energy. They're also representing more and more of the customer base throughout the state of California. We're finding that CCAs are growing tremendously. And I think because of all the benefits that we've spoken about, as a newer CCA, we're not new anymore. We're 3 years into our time. But as a newer CCA, we really certainly have a lot of role models throughout the state of California to look up to. Marin Clean Energy, Peninsula Clean Energy, even Clean Power Alliance in Los Angeles, Ventura County, are shining examples of what we can do and where we can be several years down the line. These are CCAs that are offering their customers competitive rates, discounts, and reinvesting. They're helping their cities become more net zero microgrid technologies at their city hall, so you have resiliency, higher level of resiliency and reliability at your key city facilities. They're helping your customers reduce, residential and commercial customers, reduce their energy consumption and reduce their overall bill. And we are closer to the people. We're not a utility that covers 50,000 square miles. We cover 4 cities currently. So it is very easy for us to listen and to really tailor our approach and our programs to our customers. And we're a not-for-profit, which means that our money does absolutely stay local, and we're investing in our member agencies and our customers.
Thank you. One of the big things for me, or why this is so attractive to me, is that climate change is coming and we need a solution towards it. What percentage of green energy do you guys have compared to SoCal Edison?
A lot more. So if you look at the power content label, so every year, the state of California says that we have to publish what is called a power content label. And that's essentially, if you look at a milk carton, it has a nutritional label, or any other food, it has a nutritional label and it tells you what that milk contains. So similarly, we have a power content label for load-serving entities like SCE and like OCPA. And if you look at the power content label from the last year, the last power content label for SCE and OCPA, there's a stark difference. SE is basically just hovering around state law in terms of renewable portfolio standards, and in some cases below that. OCPA, if you looked at our last portfolio content, it says that I procured 86% renewable energy. 86% of the energy that I procured came from renewable energy sources, qualified renewable energy resources, and 81% of those resources came from carbon-free resources. So that's a game changer overnight. Overnight, that's a game changer, and that means that cumulatively, we've reduced billions of pounds of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere not being emitted just because of this one program. And as you say, the cumulative impact of all the CCAs, when you look at all the other CCAs, what they've done in terms of saving people money and also saving carbon, it's significant.
Thank you. Not too long ago, we were all having, worries about spikes and fluctuations in energy prices. Can you tell me a little bit about if there's any fluctuations that there would be in energy prices if we were to go your way?
So we do a lot in terms of financial planning and also procurement planning, making sure that we're avoiding any spikes. In fact, when you looked at the last year or so, the cost of renewable energy had been going up. We're now on a downturn, but they were going up. And so it's absolutely, and our CFO is online as well, it is absolutely imperative that we have solid financial planning and planning for today and for tomorrow, and making sure that we have the type of reserves that we have and that we're building up those reserves, that we're doing everything we can to apply for an S&P credit rating so that we can kind of ensure that our energy costs are coming down as we're moving forward, and that we're also solid procurement planning as well. For us, more long-term contracts is something that we're looking to do. More long-term contracts, more local generation is something that will help us in the future as well in terms of energy spikes. We haven't had any energy spikes. In the entire time that we've been in existence, our rate design has only gotten better and has stayed static for the last couple of years, which means that our customers are enjoying a decrease in rates and not an increase. And so, yeah.
Thank you. So with that being said, is there any way that you could estimate any potential costs that are saved on behalf of our residents here if we were to join?
Yeah, so the basic choice would be 3% less as the equivalent generation rate. What we've done, our analysis shows that we would basically we would launch the city at basic choice. We would launch the city at basic choice, the default plan. So everybody would start off at basic choice. And so if they stayed at that basic choice, they would be getting more renewable energy, more carbon-free resources, and they would be at a rate that's 3% less as the equivalent generation rate, so they would save money. We can get you more information about the residential customers, what the profile of those residential customers is, and how that savings stacks up for all of your residential customers and also for your commercial customers as well. But the other number that I would draw your attention to is the number that we talked about before, the cumulative savings of $3 million over the lifetime of OCPA. As we have more cities coming online, as we have more success with long-term contracts, as we get an S&P credit rating, which demonstrates that we've done all the right things and that we're prudent in terms of our fiscal policies, that only is going to drive down the cost of the largest line item, which is the cost of energy, and allow us to put more into reserves and allow us to not only have better programs in the future, but also potentially more savings for our customers if our board of directors wanted that.
For my comments, council, saying this and seeing the presentation, I feel like, here on this city, we talk a lot about local control and what that means. And seeing this type of, entity that is before us, one might say that this is, very direct democracy-esque in terms of us being able to send an elected official from our council to an agency and being able to give residents the opportunity to choose if they would want to go with greener energy or SoCal Edison. I've always believed that here in our city, we have to have, a bigger impact in climate change, lessen the devastating impacts that is growing in our community. I think that we need things like, climate change action plan, things like that. So I love what you're doing here. I really like how you guys project that you guys are going to have a surplus, right? And zero liability was really nice. But at the end of the day, right, it's about how we democratically could come together and choose that green energy. So council, I don't know how you're feeling about this. I would definitely like to look into this a bit more, especially on city staff side. Thank you.
With you, Councilman Torres, that it's worth looking into, having our staff look into the research. There are some questions. I would love to see what Irvine's doing. Since they were a founder, they did give you millions of dollars to start it, and I would like to see the ending of that. Do they stick with you guys, or do they remove themselves completely from OCPA?
Thank you. I have 45 questions. Send you a note, or we can spend the next 2 hours here. So,
Whatever your pleasure is, Mayor.
yeah, I'm getting some dirty looks from these four. So, I'll follow up with you later. But there are some things I wanted to kind of clarify, if I may. So basically, at this particular time, you will not provide any of the services that Edison provides as far as critical infrastructure, repair, maintenance, those types of things. So if we want to have that done, we're going to be your customer. In other words, we are an OCPA customer once we come on board with you. And the service provider is a third party, which is Edison. Now, as we all know, trying to get Edison to do something, like put in a generator, to help a business, to provide infrastructure, it's very challenging. What type of leverage does your company have that's going to make it any different if we're that far out?
So good question. We meet with SC on a regular basis on a number of teams throughout the organization. I'm also from the utility world. I work with San Diego Gas and Electric and many folks from Southern California Edison. So we work with SC on a regular basis, like I said, several teams, and I do think that it helps our customers. It gives them that much more leverage and advocacy. So we are meeting with them. We have our own customer care group. We have our own call center. And so when there are issues that our customers are experiencing, we raise that up and raise it up to any number of folks within SCE, and we generally get responded to fairly quickly. It's a very good relationship between us and SCE. SCE's on the delivery side. They're doing all the maintenance. They are still your utility. Even if you come with us, we're only on the generation. We're purchasing the energy for you. We're doing a lot of advocacy, and we're raising a lot of awareness about the energy sector. But the utility is still Southern California Edison. They're still maintaining the system. They're still billing you, but we are on the generation side.
Ed, it's my understanding that you buy your energy from the same place that Edison buys it, off the grid, or what's available. And so basically, you'll be paying the same price that they pay for the same amount of energy. Am I wrong? Or do you pay more, or do you pay less? And how does that affect the tiered system that you have?
So I don't know. So you're asking information. I don't know what Southern California Edison pays for their energy, since this is going to be sensitive customer.
Well, we pay 3.1. I don't know what they buy it for, but I assume that you're going to have to pay the same market rate that they do.
I think I'm a better negotiator. I think I put together better deals, and we are a leaner organization. 90% of our costs are related to the cost of energy. Less than 5% are fixed cost. Less than 5%. And so I don't think SCE can say that. We are a small, nimble, lean organization that I'm sure beats SCE every day of the week in terms of procuring energy.
So if you have customers paying at 3 service levels, some pay a particular higher rate, some pay a medium rate, and then some pay the lower rate, how do you balance that as far as your membership or the people that have accounts with you? How do you balance that if you end up with less people paying for an amount versus those paying enough? How do you keep a balance to where you're not short money?
So that's a good question, and our CFO is here, and if she could chime in, she could also kind of walk you through some of the budget process. If she can't, Tiffany Law, we could also get you more information. But in essence, that's not something that is a problem for OCPA. The three products are the basic choice, 3% less than SE is to the equivalent generation rate, and then 1 penny more for the smart choice and 1.5 pennies more for the 100% choice. There are some customers that aren't able to pay, and those accounts go into collection, and SCE attempts to collect those accounts, and we account for that within our budgeting process. There's anywhere from $1 million or more that's uncollectible on an annual basis. There are also customers that are on CARE and FARA, but we certainly are able to do well by we're going to end this fiscal year with $17 million going into reserves, and we'll have about just shy of $70 million in reserves as well.
One of the other things is that Stanton has the twin powers. We have two generation plants here, one from Edison that was put in. It was the first one in the state of California. And then we have a privately owned one, 25 megawatts. We have two of those. And we've already rerouted through underground chambers for emergency blackouts. What is the feasibility of us maintaining the ability to have that backup source? It's one that has backup batteries. How are we going to be able to access that through your company if we need it?
So you joining OCPA does not disrupt, and I'd be happy to look into this further, Mayor, but you joining OCPA does not disrupt anything on the distribution or transmission side. And so whatever agreement that you have with SC in terms of those distribution centers, those generating facilities, is going to be the same if you join OCPA. But I'd be happy to look into that even deeper to give you a more thorough answer as to those two facilities.
Okay, along the same line, you said that there is going to be an incremental cost. You had that in one of your slides. How do you get the increase funding to take care of an increase in incremental costs? Are they going to have to be an increase in rates at one of the three levels that you have? Or how do you cover that incremental cost increase?
So that's all covered within our budget. And so at the end of the day, that we are basically budgeting based on the cost of the energy, the cost of all the different line items, and coming up with our rates and ensuring that there's a discount. And so we've been able to do that for the last several years, and we believe we'll continue to be able to do that. I'm not sure. I think are you talking about the incremental cost that you saw within the feasibility analysis? Alden basically, I don't know, Alden, if you wanted to say anything, but I think he captured within what he talked about, not from our budgeting perspective, but within his feasibility analysis, he captured several different expenses as incremental costs. Alden, did you want to talk a little bit more about that?
I'm just getting these questions. Like you said, you'll get back to me. That's fine. I'm just asking.
The incremental cost is part of the feasibility analysis you have a question about.
Okay, then, as you said in one of your things that you were talking about a benefit for the higher level, and you're talking about benefits of your program to the subscribers. And then you said that you're in the process of putting the program together for these benefits. When will that program be effective? Will it be before or after all the cities join, or is it in the works now, or will we have to wait for it? How's that work?
So I had one slide on, so there are multiple benefits, but I think what you're focusing on are our customer programs and projects. So since the day that we launched, we've been launching programs. And so you could see on one of the slides that I had up there that there are about 5 or 6 different programs that we've already launched, from EV charging to solar to battery storage, that we've already launched incentives. So they're already there. And we're also proposing at our next board meeting a $1,000 rebate for solar and battery storage. You can use it on either one or for both. Also, we're proposing free at-home EV charging level 2 chargers off of our marketplace, which have a retail value of $500. The one thing that you picked up on that I would say is that, I tell the team that we can chew gum and walk at the same time. We're launching programs, but we're also thinking about the future. And what is the future of customer programs for OCPA? And so right now we're talking about what's called a community power plan, which is going to be our 5-year master plan on the type of programs that if Stanton was to join OCPA, you can anticipate and know that every year, these are the programs that we're going to launch every year. So that 5-year plan would say, okay, in the first year, they're going to do this. In the second year, they're going to do this. They're going to launch a program for zero-interest loan for solar and battery storage installations for residential customers.
Benefits that you're talking about.
Those would be the benefits. In addition to your colleague talking about the benefit of more renewable energy for climate change, local jobs, local generation, also reinvesting in our member agencies for programs that will help you reduce the cost of energy and reduce the consumption of energy.
In our city, we have 10 mobile home parks and many collective communities. Many of the ownership there, what they do is they have a set fee per month for the whole group. How do you manage billing people within a group like that for the 3 different levels, or they have to pick one for everybody?
Yes. So at first blush, I would say that if they have 1 meter, then or 2 meters or one large commercial meter, they would have to pick one product for the entire mobile home park. But we could work with them. I don't believe that we actually have come up to that challenge before, but we could.
It could become problematic, but I'll wait for your response.
We could actually work with them and come up with an agreement whereby we basically.
And I have one last question.
Sure.
Okay, so if the city of Stanton was to go with you, and we chose the 3% discount level, right?
Right.
We own our streetlights. Do we get a 3% discount on all our electric bill?
So if you as a municipal customer, so you have 2 choices. You have the choice of you have multiple choices if you wanted to. You can choose the default plan separately for all of the different classifications. The city council could say basic choice for the commercial, industrial, residential customers, and municipal customer. You are the municipal customer. If you default yourself at basic choice, then all the streetlights that you publicly own will be defaulted at basic choice. So then, yes, 3% less.
So our total electric bill could be reduced 3%.
3% less as the equivalent generation rate, yes.
The current generation rate, right? Okay. All right,
and we could do that analysis for you. If we've not done that analysis, we can do that analysis for you in terms of what your total bill is today and what it would be with OCPA.
My city manager has been here patiently, and she has 73 questions, so here we go.
I have to prove to the mayor I was paying attention. He said there was a quiz at the end. Just a couple questions. Just so I can understand. The community automatically gets opted in to the OCPA program, but they can opt back out into SCE. Is that correct?
That's correct. So under AB 117, as soon as you pass that ordinance saying that you're going to set up a CCA and that OCPA is going to be your selected CCA, you would choose a default plan. We're advocating for basic choice, and so everybody would automatically be defaulted into the basic choice, and then they would have an option. They could individually, independently choose to go back to SC for the bundled generation rate that they have, or they can move up to smart choice or move up to 100%. We'll send out multiple well-designed notices prior to launch. We'll work with you and do a lot of town halls, community meetings, and we'll do it. We'll do all of that. And we'll send out direct mail pieces, social media, and we'll have a whole year or so to do that, where we communicate with folks to let them know what their choices are and when they can make those choices.
So is the opt-in required by the legislation, or could you make it, or I'm sorry, is the automatic transfer required by legislation, or could you set it up so in Stanton, residents can stay on SCE and they can make their own personal choice whether they want to opt into one of the OCPA programs?
Good question. No. So the state law says that as soon as you set up OCPA as your default electricity provider, that everybody's opted in, and then we will communicate heavily and effectively with all of our customers to let them know what their choices are and that they can seamlessly go back to SE if they wanted to, or they can seamlessly opt up to Smart Choice or 100%.
So how would you communicate in our community where we have a lot of diversity, a lot of non-English primary speaking households? How do you make sure that they completely understand what they're signing up for, what their options are, what support do you provide after the fact?
Hi, thank you so much. I'm Jackie Henderson. I'm the Director of Communications and External Affairs. So I wanted to jump in and hopefully address your questions. I did want to also amend what CEO Mosca was saying just quickly, that we have a 2-month window ahead of enrollment where anybody that wants to stay in SCE has the opportunity to stay in SCE. And so we make sure that we are out there communicating that. We can
But
set
they
up.
still have to opt that, or is it, okay, so they have to take some type of proactive choice
They
to
do have to
stay
take
in their current
That is
program.
correct, but they do have a 2-month window where they won't be opting in at all if they take that action ahead of the actual enrollment period. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that is out there and available to them. We also have a great translation service that we work with that works with a number of different CCAs across California. So we translate a lot of our documents, including our mailers, and we do have the ability to geo-target all of those different communications. So we make sure that we have everything available in translated versions with our tabling efforts, and we do have translation services through our call center as well, so they're very equipped with the different languages that are across California. Anything that's up in 3% of the voter range as a first language is something that we have the ability to translate in our services. So we do make sure that we have a great communication channel, and we try to have all of their translated materials available in the languages that are most prevalent in your communities.
Okay, and at any time they can opt outside of that initial 2-month window. At any time, a resident can choose to go back to SCE.
That is correct, yes.
So I was looking online at different articles about OCPA, and something came up about what happens when ratepayers cease paying their bills. So if you had ratepayers, let's say another COVID type situation, and we had mass non-payment of OCPA bills, what happens?
So the payment goes to Southern California Edison. So the payment would go to Southern California Edison, and if a customer is not paying Southern California Edison, Southern California SCE will have a protocol and when to basically shut off that account after so many months of trying to, introduce them to different low-income assistance programs, and then trying to collect arrearage. And there may have been during COVID some monies from the state or federal government to help reduce that arrearage. But ultimately, if a customer does not pay their bill, then SCE will shut their account down. And we'll seek to collect that money through a third-party collection agency. If they're able to get any money, they will remit an amount that corresponds to the generation side of the bill to OCPA. If they're never able to collect on that, then it's essentially a dead collection. And SC will write off as uncollectible their portion, and we would basically write off as uncollectible our portion. And if you look at our budget, our annual budget, you'll see that there's a line item for uncollectibles. It's actually it's less than the average load-serving entity in the state of California. So we're actually fairly decent in terms of uncollectibles at this point.
In a normal year, I'm sure that would be what would be expected, but in an abnormal year, so there's no additional liability. That's part of your reserves. That's part of what you have set up, and none of your partner cities have any type of financial responsibility. So if all of Stanton's residents stopped paying their bills and the city of Stanton continued to be a member, we as a member would have no financial exposure and even if you drained your reserves down to zero.
No, you would have no liability. And we will, in the future, as we kind of progress with this conversation, and we move to examine the JPA, we would get that Joint Powers Authority agreement to your city attorney so that they can examine that document, and I'd be available, and our general counsel would be available too. But the JPA is very clear that there is no liability for your city. There's no cost for me being here today. There's no cost for you joining. There's no liability for your city.
So if we were to join and then we decide to fully depart, completely leave the OCPA, do you guys use something called an energy contract? And how do we release ourselves from that? And is there any financial responsibility to OCPA if we want to completely depart?
So we do have energy contracts. We have multiple energy contracts, but the liability for leaving OCPA would be essentially the contract, the JPA says that any liability is that the existing members of OCPA will not basically shoulder any of the cost of your withdrawal. So whatever the cost of withdrawal would be, that would be on the city that is withdrawing. And again, what I would say is that in the case of HB, a very large city, that was a founding member, so very intertwined with OCPA. We are able, through a year process, to work with them and to smoothly transition them back to Southern California Edison, where at the end of the day, they had no cost.
So I think, I may have read, I was reading this quickly, so I may have misread it. HB's ability to leave with no cost was because they were able to resell their energy contracts for higher than their value was. But then
Not
I read
necessarily.
another example of another city that appeared that when they left, their energy contract, I think, required them to pay 4 point something million to their CCA. Is there any instance like that where, why would a city have millions of dollars of debt owed to the CCA when they were leaving?
I'm not aware of the city that paid for. Are you saying that it was a city?
Baldwin Park.
So Baldwin Park up in Los Angeles was not an example of a joint powers authority. It was an individual city that formed a CCA, which there are a lot of risks to doing this yourself. So to give you an example, the city of Irvine, before it basically launched the OCPA, first of all, all of its analysis said that it should do it as a JPA and not a standalone CCA. And they did a whole lot of review and a lot of third-party analysis of the reviews that they did, and it all said do not form a standalone CCA. Baldwin Park was a standalone CCA, and at some point, and this was years ago that you're talking about, they themselves, when they basically shut it down, I don't know what the liability was, but if you're saying it's $4 million, but they may have had liability to their city. We're a JPA, and we're a very strong CCA, and so there's no risk of that happening.
If you didn't work with Huntington Beach to smooth it over that year, if they just wanted to leave on that day and didn't give you guys a year to work through that, what was the value of what they would have had to be responsible for?
So CCA is a community choice aggregation. So when we're purchasing power, we're not purchasing power for the city of Stanton or the city of Huntington Beach. We're an aggregator. So none of our contracts would be isolated and be solely sourced for the city of Huntington Beach. So it'd be hard to tell you what that liability would be or what their exposure or responsibility would be, especially now after they've been gone for about a year and there was in fact no cost.
No guess, no estimate. Is it like $10? Is it $10,000?
In terms of what
It could have been if there wasn't this smoothing process.
If Huntington Beach didn't work with us and decide that it was in their best interest to have a smooth transition back to SE, what if that wasn't the case?
Right.
I'm not sure what hypothetically what it would have been.
Okay, thank you.
If you would please thank your staff, thank the members from the other cities that are here, and also the people that gave the presentations. This was very thorough. It was precise. The information is going to be absorbed, and we'll take a look at it, of course. We all had some questions that weren't quite well answered, so if you want to get back to us on that, that would be greatly appreciated. And, as I said, I think you've gone through just about everything. If we want to go through the financials, we can get the financial documents and review them. So I think that's something we can do on our own.
So Mayor, there are several questions that I've noted and our team has noted. The next step in the process, this was really about the feasibility analysis. The next step in the process to come back to you and give even more of a deep dive into OCPA, and we can talk about the finances and the budget, have our CFO here answer all of your questions. I think that would probably be a really good next step for us to take if that's good for you.
I think will be determined when we get an opportunity to do that as a council. Also, at this particular time, first of all, thank you again. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But at this time, I want to kind of go over a couple of things. Right now, we're almost 2 hours into this. We haven't had our city council meeting yet, and I've got about an hour of people that want to talk on this. So what I'm going to ask the council to do is if we can please move the public speaking on up to this particular time in the meeting. Are you guys all okay with that? Yes. Okay. Are we okay with that issue? Okay, good. All right, that being said, public, I have a group of people that want to talk on this. I assume that you're not here to tell us how horrible this is, but you're here to tell us all the good things. We have had a great in-depth analysis. We are going to probably be weighing all the information that we have tonight. If there's something that has not been said or something that you just have to tell us, you're more than welcome to speak at this public hearing, as long as you're not repetitive. If you don't want to speak, I realize that probably as I look at these, I don't see anybody that would like to speak in opposition to this. For in opposition, okay? So, yes.
Ask them just what city they live in.
I can do that. No problem. Okay, so we'll take is that okay, Chief? We take opposition first usually, right? I'll tell you what, I'm not going to mix these up, so we'll go ahead and start with the first row, please. Yes, ma'am. Come up, introduce yourself, and tell us where you're from, please.
And then I would just like, for the record, you do have 3 minutes. Just go and speak your name, and then we'll hear.
I'm Harvey Liss, a resident of Irvine since 1976, and a former assistant professor of civil engineering. My point is that I'm a technical researcher, and I'm also an environmentalist who wants to help save the planet and life on it. And OCPA will not do anything at all in that regard. You've just heard an hour and a quarter or more of utter nonsense. If I had another hour and a half, I could rebut probably every item that was spewed out of Mr. Mosca's mouth. If you want to hear the truth, you need to talk to people who have been involved in OCPA. Talk to Irvine, talk to the city manager. As it turns out, at a recent vote, the city council of Irvine gave authority to the city manager to withdraw from OCPA if he and his staff were not persuaded that renewable energy contracts were actually being purchased and their energy put on the grid. The problem now is that the grid is saturated during the day with renewable energy. You can select anything you want, but it's not going to add any more renewable energy to the grid. What you need to do to protect the planet is buy solar panels and battery backup, install them in all the city buildings, and subsidize those kinds of purchases for the residents of your fair city. Anything to do with OCPA will achieve nothing towards that goal. SCE has been in this business for 100 years. They have experts. There's no way to compete with them in their purchase of energy. When they purchase renewable contracts, the CPUC approves those purchases. If there's no availability on the grid to put that in, they're not approved. Right now, you cannot get any more people to subscribe to Southern Cal Edison's green rate program, 100% renewable green rate program, because there are no more contracts available. I've been on SCE's program. I opted out in 2022 when the program was first offered, and I've been getting a discount up to 19% of my bill as of last month with SCE, whereas from the beginning, OCPA has been charging a premium. Why do they charge a premium? They cannot compete with SCE in the purchase of renewables. OCPA has to pay consultants huge commissions whereas SCE has the experts and have had these experts for a very long time. I believe the CCAs were fabulous 10 years ago when the public utilities were not providing these services. But now, I don't believe CCAs can provide any more service than the public utilities. No competition anymore. And now, with the availability of solar panels and certainly greatly decreasing costs of battery backup, that's the way to go. For example, with SCE's, let's see, what did I want to say? It's very hard to compete. How much time do I have left, by the way? Anything, or am I gone? Okay, it's not fair. You need to do something where you can have rebuttal and something presented, but this is just a pure sales pitch of utter nonsense. That's what we just heard. Absolutely. Talk to Irvine.
Thank you.
Get the truth. Thank you.
Liz,
Next, please. Next lady, please.
just speak your name for the record, and you do have 3 minutes.
Yes,
Thank
my
you.
name is Dee Fox, and I'm from Irvine. I agree. Joe Mosca, total bullshit. Everything he said, the guy's really good, let me tell you, but he talks and he talks and he talks, and it's all word salad, okay? Doesn't mean anything. They haven't proved anything. There's no reports. There's nothing that states that what they're buying is renewable energy and it's helping our environment. There's no proof of that. They have no proof. They can't show it to us because they say it's confidential. Okay, that's kind of strange. Gee, we're paying for it, but we can't see it. We can't see what we're paying for. So basically, the OCPA buys and sells power. That's all they do. They're a layer of government between residential and commercial customers and Southern California Edison. When a city decides to join the OCPA, all its residents and businesses are automatically removed from SCE and placed into this agency. Now, it's important to understand that the electricity your city receives does not change at all. You are receiving approximately 38% of renewable energy, and that will not change. What OCPA does is charge you more money in order to purchase more renewable energy and then sell it off for a profit in the belief that they are creating more of a demand for renewable energy in the market. What gets sold off is just the power, while OCPA saves the receipt for their purchase so they can claim it as part of their renewable energy goal, even though it was not being used by the customers that paid more for it. The reason it can't go on SCE's grid is because of its lack of infrastructure in storing renewables when the sun goes down. Once the OCPA sells off renewables, they turn around and buy fossil fuel to load on SCE's grid. It's cheap and inexpensive. OCPA has a 3-tiered plan, which is meant to give customers the illusion of having a choice in how much clean energy they receive. However, we know they are not the recipients of any clean power, and because it gets sold off. Nonetheless, this is all irrelevant in the eyes of climate activists who push this on cities, telling them this is their only chance to save the planet, and it must be done now. There are other ways to save the planet besides OCPA, okay? And you should listen to the people of Irvine, because we know, we've been with OCPA since the beginning. We don't have any stake in coming here and telling you, not. They have a lot at stake, okay? They've got their salaries they could lose. Climate Action Campaign has a lot to lose, not getting any more federal funding. And they come here and they have this toolkit, they call it, where they all decide what they're going to say to you guys and how they're going to sell it. Okay, and I'm sure that's what Fred Jung, he's the worst. You know how much money that guy has spent and given away from ratepayer funds? It will be your residents, the money that they're paying into that, they're going to be paying for their salaries, their other cities' events, and all kinds of stuff.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you. My name is, good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Mike Rao. I urge you not to get involved with OCPA. Don't join, table the discussion. It is a troubled startup that is under financial duress and losing customers. I lived in Irvine when OCPA started service in 2022. Yet, despite their upbeat sales pitch, they have already lost half their customers, like Huntington Beach and the County of Orange. In December of 2024, the Irvine City Council voted unanimously that Irvine intends to withdraw from OCPA. Irvine is about 60% of OCPA and a founding member. Yet OCPA has not been transparent and forthcoming, even with Irvine. The Irvine city manager detailed in December key concerns that led Irvine to vote unanimously that Irvine intends to withdraw from OCPA. Please read the city manager's report. If OCPA treats Irvine this way, how will they treat Stanton? OCPA just wants Stanton's money, the money your residents and businesses pay for electricity. The joint power agreement for OCPA makes no guarantees any of their rates will be lower than Edison's. No guarantees your air will be cleaner. Your general fund may be at risk. I have a little time. I just want to add something concerning the mayor's question. How much do you pay for Edison's power? They are required not to charge a profit on the power that they put on the grid for you. They're not allowed to charge a profit. They're supposed to, and assumedly they do, transfer to you the power they acquire and charge you just what they had to pay for it themselves. So whatever you pay, that's the fair price determined by the market. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Vicki Johnson, a former resident of Irvine and also Laguna Woods, which was targeted by OCPA. I urge you to proceed not in any way with the Orange County Power Authority. You have a good balanced budget for 24-25, I read that. Stanton does not need to take on the risks of dealing and getting entangled with the Orange County Power Authority. OCPA has lost half its customers, Huntington Beach, the County of Orange. It's backtracking on renewables. You can see that from their own data. Now, in November, OCPA projected a shortfall of $100 million. In December, Irvine City Council voted unanimously of their intent to withdraw from OCPA. Please think about this carefully. Why would Irvine be voting unanimously of an intent to withdraw? Because there are many, many problems with OCPA. And he got a lot of time to talk. You need to hear unbiased responses. You need to talk to the city. To look at that December meeting in Irvine. It went on a long time. Now, the feasibility study presented tonight was prepared by OCPA to see how much money they can make off of Stanton. That feasibility study does not protect Stanton's interests. The membership agreement, the thing that really counts, the contract, the joint powers agreement, that does not sufficiently protect your ratepayers or the general fund. They are at risk. If you look at the JPA, it places liabilities on the ratepayers, and that's why 20 to 30% of Irvine's residential and commercial customers have opted out. Why would they opt out? They don't want to be liable for the failure of this organization. And they upsell. One rate that they offer basic choice is cheaper than the other two rates. They're higher than SCE. Now, what do you think OCPA is going to do? They're going to try to upsell you. People don't like that. That's why many, 20 to 30% of Irvine opted out. And you can see it's hard to understand, right? It's not easy to understand. The JPA will not guarantee that you get cheaper rates than SCE. It's no guarantee. And in fact, in November, OCPA tried to pass a policy that would have put all of its members into the rate, smart choice, that's more than SCE. They tried to pass that policy, and that's another reason Irvine City Council voted unanimously of their intent to withdraw. Learn about it. Don't just listen to this. Please, protect your city.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition at this time? All right, we'll move to the positive side. If you would like to speak in favor of this, come on up.
Evening, Mayor Shaver, Honorable Council. I didn't expect to really speak this evening. I didn't drive all the way to Stanton to have my character besmudged, but I suppose that's part of elected office. You know, I want to give you this statistic that you should ask Edison. I would gather that they don't have an answer. Last year, they made $1.7 billion, while Stanton, its residents' businesses, Fullerton residents' business, paid the highest electricity rate we've had ever. So I wonder what Edison would tell you if they were standing before you today. I can't tell you what I do as a member of the Board of Directors. I make sure that we put ratepayers first by lowering the rates as much as we can. And we have lowered those basic rates by 3%. Is 3% a lot? I assure you, for most folks, it's probably not. But for your municipality, it might be. I can assure you also, for anyone involved in the hospitality industry in Stanton, you own a restaurant, most of your profit margins are right around 3 to 5%. That's the margin you operate in. So when these times get rough, as we can foresee that they may be economically, that 3% savings may be a lot for some folks. Maybe a hostess, maybe a server, maybe a cook in the back. You know, joining Orange County Power Authority, which you won't decide this evening, preserves local control, and I know most of you have talked about it up on the dais this evening. It empowers your city council and the Stanton community to address the unique needs and preferences of this city. This is a partnership between a community-based JPA and the city of Stanton, which values effective governance, and together we can improve community well-being in this city.